Welcome, dear listener, to the Right Here, Right Queer podcast. This is Noah Hawthorne, also known as Aelina Isaacs. Today we have a sneak peek into the Phantom and Rook audiobook narrated by Kirt Graves. Enjoy!
Friday. My heart. Arlo. Levena. Present day. Charms and death are my specialties, which are practically useless against a dedicated best friend. Why don't you just live with me?
It's fine, and honestly, I'd rather have your cooking than Lindsay's.
Kit relays her thinly veiled and misplaced concern. How about no? I glare at the haughty projection floating over my phone on the kitchen counter. Waves of near-black hair partially curtain my face, flowing from under my beanie, but Kit catches my animosity all the same. Speaking of, have you called her yet?
Deflecting low, deflecting,
Kit muses, shaking out violet and electric blue tresses interrupted by two black horns curling from her forehead. I continue working on my illustration and attempt to convince the Kieran and myself that this is a good thing. Listen, I'm a big boy. I can do this. I'm going to talk to Doosan. My last few words verge towards high-pitched. It's Kit's turn to give me a look, knocking my tone up another notch. Serious. It's fucking time I get out of here. Become a functioning member of society, or whatever it is they call it. I'm better. Kit throws her leather-clad arms up in exasperation, but her painted red lips curve upwards. All right, if you say so. Just... Her teasing smile falters, and there it is, what I've been waiting for the moment I brought this up.
Don't push yourself. It's okay to have a roommate or something. That still counts as doing it on your own. Being alone does not equal...
Hey, I gotta go, Kitty. Market is going to be flooded soon, and my hands are still a mess, I say, more clipped than usual. Misfits night still on?
Fucking better be. Oh, don't forget the oranges,
she warns, and then the projection cuts out from my paint-splattered phone. I sigh, bracing my dark hands awash with colour on the counter's edge. I allow my head to hang for a moment, recharging myself for the chaos of the festival. I expected her to be hesitant in her nonchalant Kit way, but I'm so fucking tired of people waiting for me to break apart again. I suppose a small part of me hoped she'd have a little more faith in me than the others, but apparently none of them think I can live without being coddled. Caspian is a whole other matter. He'll be fretting over me worse than a mother bird. Kit gets a free pass because she does. One of the many drawbacks of living in the place you grew up in is everyone knows what you've done, perhaps even better than you do. I resolve to give Kit a bear hug when I see her, then lift my head and take in the kitchen, reminding myself what I'll be leaving behind. If I can muster the courage, that is. A chorus of children playing echoes in the halls outside of my kitchen, nestled into the rear of Garin Castle. The sprawling, fading green grounds behind the estate are in full view through the floor-to-ceiling windows lining the southern wall of my nook, which is used for everything but cooking. Fruit trees, kaleidoscope-coloured flowers, pirate ships, and wizard towers litter the lawn out back. Numerous kids run between the vibrant play structures built over the years by those who left this place behind. Back in my time, there was only one treehouse. Then Caspian learned the joys of pyrotechnics and blew it to smithereens. 3 grew in its place. The shadow of a smile escapes me as I recall Doosan's face on the last summer day of my youth, the first time I ever saw the draconic headmaster truly surprised, and perhaps proud. I straighten my spine, hands leaving the marble counter island as my gaze drifts to the greenery lining the sides of the windows. Ivy crawls along the inside of the old stone walls. Yellow and purple flowers bloom alongside bright green leaves that blanket most of this place. Plants live in nearly every inch of vertical space of the castle, ready to absorb hexes, along with protective sigils and charms created by none other than myself. The wide, double doors of oak opposite me are shut, something that doesn't occur too often. I don't mind when the kids keep me company, begging for stories as they watch me concoct my latest batch of charmed potions, balms, trinkets, and a dozen other magicked items that sell faster than I can create them. When the doors are shut, the kids know today's not a good day to visit. But whenever I reopen them, they find me within minutes. A smile breaks through at that, and I absently pace the room, stroking the dragon tattoo on my wrist. Gold and green ink shimmers to life as the beast takes flight, swooping up to my elbow with a wave of warmth and comfort before it settles on the inside of my arm once more. Its thin tail curves around to meet an unmoving planet, forming an abstract symbol that reminds me to keep moving beyond the pause. The grandfather clock situated beside the doorway chimes 6 times, and I jump out of my skin at the first, slinging paint everywhere. I had lost myself to nostalgia and forgot to wash my hands. Now I'm late. I scrub my hands in the industrial-sized steel sink overlooking the windows, gathering courage. Market Street is near impossible to navigate in the evening any time of the year, but the festival leading up to the game makes it pure hell. I decide with 90% certainty I'll be fine as I dry off. But I make a visit to the spice rack just to be safe. I dig through jars filled with herbs, crushed crystals, and vague body parts that are recognizable only by my questionable script on a label. Nothing is in its place, and I sigh. I just fucking organized this yesterday. Must be Cleo and Felix were in here again. I finally find the empty pocket-sized glass jars on the bottom shelf instead of the middle where they're supposed to be. By the time I fill one with black tourmaline, lavender, and a few other random things that call to me from the wood and iron rack, my heart's racing a mile a minute. Black threatens the edges of my vision, and I steady myself. Kit's advice swims in my mind. You don't have to push yourself so hard. I shake my head and take my knitted duster from its home on the coat tree beside the spices, then slip it on over my loose tank top and drop the jar into an inner pocket, one of many. I fish out the talisman hiding against my chest, then hold it in a moment of reverence and utter my usual incantation in attempts to stave off any negative energy that might want to latch onto my growing pool of anxiety. In my hurry, I nearly forget the canvas. I retrieve it from the counter, accidentally smudging the colours in the corner, but at this point, if the painting makes it to its owner in one piece, I'll be happy. I perform a series of conjurations using one hand, then exhale heavily onto the painting. My magic-infused breath dries the last tacky bits of paint and imbues the spell needed for his mural. I gaze upon the work I spent my day and part of last night on. I wanted to give Gleason a goodbye present before he left, but procrastination got the better of me. Art born of pressure and intensity comes out the best, I think. Honest, raw, and true. The moment my fingers wrap around the door handle inlaid with golden leaves, my companion, who's been otherwise resting contentedly in the corner, wakes with an unimpressed yawn. I glare at Bosco as his moon-like eyes blink open and fixate on me, one pupil dilating before the other. "We're really doing this?" he asks in a whisper of annoyance only I can hear. "Do you not see me walking out the door? Let's go. Deucin is waiting, and we still got to go to the market." I lower my right shoulder when his wide golden wings spread, but the old barn owl lands on his usual place instead, nestled into the slouchiness of my sage-green beanie. He burrows down, talons gently taking hold of the wool, expertly knit by Gowan. I roll my eyes. "Really?" "Don't forget your phone," Bosco reminds me, before dozing back off again. "Fucking bird," I mutter with a half-smile, darting back across the room to find my phone and pocket it into my jeans. When I open the doors, the sounds of Garin Castle erupt into a waterfall that crash over my slightly pointed ears. A gaggle of children run down the hall to my left and out the back door to my right. They stop in their tracks upon seeing my face. A second passes, long enough for me to think, "Oh, shit." In the next, they're climbing me like a tree, poking at Bosco and pulling on my hair. One kid latches onto my back. Cleo wraps around my front as she buries her face into my neck. Must be Felix on my back. A child sits on each of my purple Converse, and I glare at each dirty face with mock fury. But they know better. Squeals erupt as the monster that is Arlo Rook roughhouses with them the entire way to the headmaster's office, much to Bosco's chagrin. The old man takes off the moment we're captured, but I know he'll find me in Deucen's office. He won't leave me alone for that nerve-wracking talk. I hold the painting out to my side to keep it safe, but the rest of my limbs are occupied with fending off small kids of all races. Wide halls filled with plants, professors, children, and stones older than I am lead the way to the headmaster's office, which rests in the front of the castle. Giant windows cut through stone in the shape of arches allow me to catch a glance at the vivacious new town waiting at the bottom of the hill, cast in a dazzling array of magical lights. Garin Castle is situated in Old Town, the original site of Levener. All right, really now, I've got to go. And shouldn't you all be collecting wildflowers for the Scarlet Illusionist, no? I raise a brow, setting down the last child before me, rebellious 11-year-old Cleo, who usually never stops smiling. But now she's pissed.
That's just a story. We all know it's you and Miss Garin that does it.
Cleo stomps her foot, bouncing the twists hanging around her face, and the others around her murmur in agreement. Felix doesn't look so sure, but the rest of their group follow Cleo's word no matter what. Felix is the only one stops to ask questions, but it's not like Cleo has any ill intention. The pair remind me a lot of Kit and me at that age. Perhaps that's why they occupy the soft spot in my heart. Deucen's door cracks open, and I'm the only one who notices, but the headmaster doesn't intrude on my teaching moment as I kneel before the kids. I set down my canvas against the wall behind me, then wash my gaze over them all for a tenuous moment. Intense chandelier light brightens all their faces, highlighting the glimmer in their curious eyes. I'll miss teaching them. You don't believe in the Scarlet Illusionist? I ask with warm sincerity, extending my hand to Cleo's. Paint lingers in the crevices of my nails, and I inwardly curse myself. I only washed away half my mess.
Well,
Cleo starts, glancing at Felix, who naturally keeps close to her side. They both inch towards me, and Cleo slides her dark hand into mine. The rest of the children flank out behind the two. I make sure to give each one my attention, not just Cleo and Felix.
How could one person do all that in one night? And for so long?
A small, unsure voice brings my attention back to the pair. I'm surprised to find it belongs to Felix, who hardly speaks unless he deems it important. When the boy does speak, all listen with intent. I find the silver pendant on my neck, what could be considered to some quite plain, but it's my most prized possession. A palm-sized locket in the shape of a compass, adorned with script initials for the cardinal points. I've never been able to open it, and after it zapped Kit when she tried, I didn't bother to try again, or feel the need to. Most things I need figured out, plans made and details known, but this necklace... The children's pupils dilate farther than before, if possible, and Cleo reaches out for the compass. I hold up a finger and raise a brow, stopping her curious fingers. Listening, I ask, and all nod in unison. A long, long time ago, I solved the game, and this was my prize, along with my very first paint set. At the time, I had never even thought about painting, but look at me now. A few murmurs of disbelief bubble throughout the group. And the necklace? What's special about that? An orc teen in the back asks, head tilted with the start of tusks poking past their lips. A few of the other older kids have joined in, hanging back behind the younger ones. Well, don't tell anyone. I lower my tone conspiratorially, although it's no big secret. I gesture for them all to come closer. I take Felix's small, freckled hand and guide it to my locket. This is magic, and I want it. Felix gasps when his fingers enclose around the locket, his hand too small to entirely wrap around it. My heart, it's happy. Excitement festers in his comrades, but I silence them with a soft look. You'll all get a turn. And they do. One by one, I allow the children to take hold of the necklace that has been my calm through every rocky moment in my life. Well, almost every moment. After the last child, a fawn who has marked a few trees out back with their horns, takes their turn. I tuck the necklace back under my shirt and stand with tired knees. There's not much mystery left in the world, and the Scarlet Illusionist is one of those legends best left at just that, a legend. Out of all places, they've chosen to bless our town for centuries, and all they ask is to remain a secret. A real person. Cleo's eyes go wild, as if she's just realized something. She turns to face her friends, essentially dismissing me as she barks out orders. We must collect as many wildflowers as we can. This year will be the largest offering yet. The Scarlet Illusionist will know our names and gratitude. It's all I can do to stifle a laugh. She's so fucking cute and bull-headed. A true leader. Felix, however, tugs on my sleeve. I bend down and he whispers into my ear. Have you ever met them? I smile, patting his hand on my arm. No, but I'd be honored if I ever did. I don't tell him that I glimpsed them once, or thought I did. Felix nods, blushing furiously. Mr. Arlo, Cleo and I might have... I hold up a hand, saving him from the confession. I know, and I also know you won't do it again, In case of emergency, it's always best to know right where things are. Can I trust you to talk sense into that one? I gesture to Cleo, and his rounded ears turn red as we watch his elven friend stir up the others. Yeah, I can do that, Mr. Arlo. Thanks for letting me touch your necklace. I could feel how important it is to you. That gets my attention, and I sense Deucen's gaze on us through the crack in her door. Is that so? Think you might be magical like me? I ask softly. Felix's round brown eyes brighten so much they rival the sun, and he stands straighter. He nods a few times, mop of hazel hair bouncing as he does. Let's say tomorrow just you and I have tea together, Say 2 o'clock? Really? He blurts out, then swiftly covers his mouth, but not without catching Cleo's attention. Felix gives me a searching look for help. What's up? Cleo bounds over. Must be he wants to keep this to himself, which is surprising. Telling this one to keep you in line. Don't think I didn't notice you were messing around in my kitchen. I raise a stern brow at Cleo, but she only sticks her tongue out at me. I chuckle, snapping my fingers, which gives her tongue the tiniest of electrical snaps. She yelps in protest, and I rustle both her and Felix's hair, then give my goodbyes to the others, and pick up my canvas from its resting place. The draconian, untouched by time, swings the door open as I approach. Deucin Garin is full of warmth and pride as I enter her office for perhaps the 5,000th time. Seems you've re-inspired our most skeptical of the bunch. Sure you're not the famed illusionist? Deucin intones from behind me as she shuts the door. I make way for my usual chair, situated across from hers at the mahogany desk that's probably just as old as Deucin is. I favour the right seat as opposed to the left, and lean my painting up against the chair's leg. Dunno why, but my ass always seems to land in the same spot no matter where I go, same as my right leg always slides into socks, pants, or shoes first. Deucin slides into a high-backed chair, then straightens the cuffs of a crisp black-and-white suit as she leans back, vertical pupils fixated on me. I've only ever seen her break this form once, and it was fucking glorious. At least Kit and I thought so. Caspian not so much. Even in humanoid form, Deucin Garin carries all the grace and wisdom you would expect from an ancient gold dragon. Her narrow eyes shine the same bright yellow they always have. Her silver hair is cut in pixie fashion, highlighting the array of jewelry hanging from her ears and the cut of her wide jaw. Deucin created this orphanage back in the olden days, when the waterside city was nothing more than a fishing village and dirt roads. Some dragons hoard treasure, but this one hoards orphans, and she protects them just as fiercely as any hunk of gold or shiny gem. Don't get me wrong, Deucin is eternally polished and accessorized with gold or crystals, but raising children is what gives this woman life. It's hard to feel sad about aging out of the system with a guardian like her. Nevertheless, loneliness eats at my heart from time to time. Like I've got the time to make riddles and give out gifts. I only told her the truth. I scoff and wave a hand, allowing a sly grin to appear. Bosco nonchalantly returns, giving me some dignity by landing on my shoulder. "What do you think of Felix?" I ask, in a significantly less teasing tone. "I've been wondering about him for some time, haven't you?" Deucin counters, resting her chin on knitted fingers as her elbows perch on the desk. "I've noticed an aura around him a couple times, but I wanted to give him space. See what he did with it on his own." I shrug, leaning back in my chair with a sigh. "Still a bit young yet, I think, but I'll talk to him tomorrow." "You were already causing trouble at his age," Deucin points out. I wrinkle my nose. I have magical blood, that's no surprise. He's human, though. The witching hour doesn't typically start till his race is closer to 18. He's 7 years early. "Almost 6, don't forget." Deucin echoes the sentiment Felix has been holding on to lately. He's almost 12. "Perhaps he'll be a force to be reckoned with," Deucin remarks, half turning in a chair to stare out the wall of windows to my left at the city. The thought curls a tendril of worry in my heart. I can't imagine soft Felix possessing so much power with no one to guide him. I floundered for so long on my own, and the shit I've gone through because of the witch's heart inside my chest will turn any sane person mad. "I hope not," I murmur, choosing to focus on the ancient tomes lining her impressive bookshelf at my right instead of the bright city. Magic is a blessing and a curse. It doesn't run as freely as it used to, not the wild, raw side of it that can be commanded by witches like myself, and now Felix. My hands curl into fists at the thought of Leon cutting us down to nothing. Molecules of energetic magic enchant our everyday lives, powering technology and running in the blood of magical creatures. But it's tame, civilized, and limited. Even those who have magic lineage in their veins can't command it without a witch's heart, as opposed to the days when everyone could wield it with a mere whisper. Magical beings benefit from immortality or whatever boons their race naturally offers, but unless they're a witch, that's all they can do. Passive possession, or so the scholars say. Witches aren't rare, but definitely uncommon after Leon's taking. In Old Town, I'm one of just over a dozen registered witches, mandated by law to make ourselves known to the government. What our specialty is, our magic signature, and fingerprints. All in case one of us wants to turn supervillain and burn the place down, which hasn't happened before. On purpose, that is. Crime doesn't usually live in Levener, but when it does, I'm one of the people they call, either for ferrying the dead or taking care of the perpetrators. "What's on your mind, Arlo?" Deucin asks, breaking me from my train of thought. "Just—" I bow my head for a moment, removing my beanie to run a hand through my wild waves of almost black. When the light hits it, a soft, barely there brown is visible. Like my soul, Kit teased once, but I don't think she's wrong. Bosco's talons dig into my shoulder, but otherwise he keeps steady despite my anxious movements. The pinpricks of pain center me. Wondering why magic chooses us the way it does. Why Felix and not Cleo or one of the others? He's too good for it. Deucin blinks slowly. "Do you think your magic is a curse?" My eyes flick up to hers, which are ever patient. My fingers stop their yanking through my hair. It can be. Curious, she murmurs, rising slowly to pace the length of her study, rubbing her wide chin in contemplation. I wait for her lecture on self-worth, but instead she leans against the length of her desk closest to me and nudges my sneaker with the toe of her pointed boot. Did you have something you needed to tell me? I chuckle at the sentence that has drawn many confessions out of Kit, Cass, and me, always said with the same gentle tone. Yeah, I'm going to start looking for a place. I want to live on my own. I roll back my shoulders and replace my beanie, not breaking my stare into her sunshine eyes that are filled with only kindness. The most subtle of laugh lines curve upwards. She nods once. Do you feel happy about this decision? I blink but don't backtrack. Not now. Yeah? Yes. I want to try again. I want to start my life. I'm ready. That causes her smile to falter slightly, but she doesn't jump into the discussion I thought she would. Instead, Dewson says, If you say you're ready, then I believe you. If you change your mind and want to come back home, your room will always be waiting for you, as will I. Well, fucking hell. Tears prick my eyes, and I inhale a strangled bit of air, then stand and wrap Dewson into a bone-crushing hug. Well, to anyone else it would be bone-crushing, but the Draconian's marrow is of steel. As the years have passed, I've had to hunch over more and more to hug the headmaster. She's not afraid to show affection to any of her charges, but her iron will is just as strong as her love. Thank you, Dewson, for everything. Of course, Arlo. But if you think you'll be free and clear without visiting, you're sorely mistaken. And it won't be just me that comes after your hide. The kids will miss you, Dewson says softly into my broad shoulder. She only comes up to my chest now, as most of the people around here do. I nod, then slowly pull away and hold the headmaster by the shoulders. I know, but I have to do this. I remind her and myself through a choked voice. I need to take control of my life. As you should, my dear, but live by your terms, not what's expected of you, she remarks softly, then kisses my cheek. A clock matching the one in the kitchen chimes 7 times from behind Dewson's desk, reminding me the night is young and I have more people to see. I don't startle this time. We say our goodbyes, and before I step out of her office, canvas in hand, Dewson calls to me from her seat at the desk. Have fun tonight, eh? The Scarlet Illusionist's biggest believer has to partake in the festivities as well. The wicked, heated grin that overtakes my face is unfamiliar, but I allow it. As Cleo says, they will know my name and gratitude. Hell, maybe I'll play this year. Dewson Garin laughs, a throaty and wild sound that follows me out into the night.
This has been Phantom and Rook by Aelina Isaacs, narrated by Kirt Graves. If you enjoyed it, you can find it at all your favorite retailers, including Libro.fm, and you can suggest it at your local library through Libby and Hoopla. Thanks for listening.